AI has moved from the background to the boardroom very quickly. But for others, the bigger question is starting to emerge. What happens when AI is not just helping people do tasks, but helping to shape how an advice business actually runs? In this episode, I'm joined by Ed Beckett from Palindrome. We go back to how AI got us here in the first place, why wealth management is such an interesting space for it, and what agentic AI really means once you move past the buzzwords. This is a conversation about speed, scale, and better client service. But it's also about judgment, trust, and accountability. Because the future advice is not just about what AI can do. It's about knowing what it should do, knowing what it shouldn't do, and where the human advisor matters most. Hi Ed, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely no problem. So Ed, tell us about yourself and the career that you built across financial services.
Oh, sure thing. So I've worked for various banks and hedge funds in my career today, mainly in the UK, but I spent half a decade in the States. Spent a couple of years living in India as well. Career kind of very financial service oriented, but a lot of AI in it too.
Okay.
About a decade ago, I was working for a hedge fund called Bridgewater Associates, macroeconomic quantitative fund. And that was the kind of deep learning era. And they were getting deep learning algorithms into the way they trade the markets to do so more effectively. And that really opened my eyes up to the potential for AI. And I've stayed in and around it ever since. Fast forward a few years and I set up a family office that was AI focused with a friend based living out in India. One of the most interesting things we did there was bring the best of the West to market in India. So we brought some American firms, some UK based firms and sold them down to some of the biggest manufacturers, banks, etc. out there. One of those was called Peak AI. It's kind of darling of the last AI wave, Manchester-based firm. And in the middle of lockdown, I moved back to the UK and stepped into Peak as their chief strategy officer. I ran strategy and corp dev, but I also ran their product function and their commercial org in India. And that was a startup and then a scale up. And that's now exited to UiPath, the NASDAQ listed RPA company. And then as that was happening, the agentic wave of AI was really kicking off, and I really wanted to build or could really see the impact that was going to have on the wealth management space. And I got chatting to someone that was always also leaving Peak, my co-founder Vineet now, and he serendipitously was looking in the same space, and so we came together and it all went from there, really.
That makes my career feel really rubbish. All of that. Thank you, Ed. I feel like this is going to happen a lot today. So now, I think practically everything there is to know about AI, but a lot of people don't. So, we think AI has happened overnight, right? A lot of people think that because all of a sudden it's everywhere, right? And we're all talking about it, but it hasn't. There's been a long journey of AI. So can you, and I stress this in plain English, Ed, tell us about the AI, how it's built, the journey that it's been through from the 40s, 50s?
Yeah, from the 50s or so onwards. Yeah, exactly.
How did it start? What happened?
Yeah, so the first kind of era, I guess there are kind of four main eras, maybe five if you count agentic as well. So the first era was around rules-based, so that really lasted until the 80s, 90s. Rules-based engines, so people literally had to say, if this happened, then this happened. So how do you...
Like a decision tree.
Yeah, like a decision tree. So good for tax calculations or good for playing chess, like opening chess moves, that kind of thing. Then the second wave was really like the classical machine learning wave, where you had to give lots of examples. You had to choose the features that you wanted to focus on and then give lots of examples of good and bad. So good in classification type work. And then in the 2010s, there was kind of the deep learning wave. And this was where you no longer needed to feed it features and examples. You can now feed it raw data and it would work out the features that were most important. That was good for things like translation and stuff like that. And then fast forward to the most recent cycle, which is the generative cycle. And this is where this is token prediction, basically. This is like...
This is token prediction?
Yeah, it's like, what is the next token? What is the next word?
Okay.
Given this sentence, it's like probability distribution. What is the most likely next word? And that is all that this is doing. It's not understanding you. It's not like intelligence as we see intelligence. It's predicting the next token, predicting the next word, and doing that over and over and over again. And it's trained on the corpus, or basically the corpus of the internet kind of thing.
Right.
So, and the big game changer there is that it can now work in natural language. So rather than needing like super structured tabular data as you need in classical machine learning, say, you don't need that anymore. You can interact in natural language, and that's really why you've seen this Cambrian explosion.
Lovely use of Cambrian explosion. Thank you for getting that in so early, Ed. People that are listening to this, please Google it. Okay, and this is what we call large language models.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
right,
it,
so that's
exactly,
sort of where we
generative
are.
thing, yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier. So why is wealth management so well suited to AI?
Yeah, so my background, as I mentioned, is kind of asset management, and then you kind of get into investment management, and we were peeling back the layers of the onion and trying to work out the optimal angle, and we really wanted to approach it from a client-specific, client-centric perspective. Everything that we've done is client-centric, and when you get to the provision of advice, the vast majority, over 80% of the data is unstructured in nature. So it's conversations, it's emails, it's the attachments to emails, it's files, those kind of things. And that is the data that has suddenly become way more useful than it used to be. All in natural language, all previously stored in a doc management store and not really ever seen or used again. But now it all becomes an unbelievably rich source of truth. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you decided to set up your own firm.
Yes. Yeah.
So you set up Palindrome. What were you looking to build?
Well, really, we were looking to focus on the end client experience and how could this technology radically change the end client outcome. So, historically, there's been... It's been more reactive than proactive, this industry. You might see your wealth manager on a yearly basis, maybe a couple of times in the odd conversation. But really, could that radically change and become way more client-centric, become way more proactive? So anytime something happens to the deterministic system in which we operate, so the FCA changes their rules for something, or the Treasury announces some new levy or some change to the system in which we operate, who are the most impacted by that? Or the markets move aggressively, who is overexposed to that movement? Or your own personal circumstances change, something happens to you, you become temporarily vulnerable in some way. How can you proactively serve and reach those people and give them the best possible outcome? So our take was that this technology would allow that to happen in a way that hasn't happened previously. And then we kept kind of pulling on that string, and that became one core pillar. And the other pillars are growth, and the growth of the wealth management firms that we serve, and the efficiency that they exhibit as well.
So how does that come to life when you work with a firm then? So obviously you're working with us at the moment. How do you bring that efficiency, et cetera, to life? Yeah,
so really there are kind of 5 primitives. There are 5 core capabilities that we have from a reasoning perspective that we've refined and tuned to wealth management. The first of those is drafting, effectively. It's the generation of documents given input data and a template. The second of those is conducting checks. So we conduct lots and lots and lots of different checks for lots and lots of different purposes. So first line risk or compliance is a great use case there, as is learning and development. And there are some really good kind of cross-sell, upsell related things about referral sourcing and stuff like that. So checking is the second core capability.
Okay.
The third core capability is the ability to search across your data and just understand way more. So we de-silo the data. We'll come on to that in a minute. And then once that's done, you make it AI ready. You pre-process it, you parse it, chunk it, vectorize it, index it, and then it's ready to do whatever you want from an AI perspective with you. And so you can now query it really, really easily. Then once you've done that, you need to curate the data. So you So that's the fourth core pillar. So you can take all of this unstructured data and you can put it in different shapes so that it can do things down the line. So you can push it into your structured core store of data. And then the final thing, once you've curated your data, is the ability to segment in sophisticated ways on top of it. So dynamic segmentation. Now, this is the kind of thing that back in the day we did at Peak, and retail, CPG, manufacturing, well, especially e-commerce retail CPG companies have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
But it really hasn't existed that much in wealth so far.
Well, no,
Mainly
people have done
because-
it with a spreadsheet and going, my clients A, B, and C, and all of that sort of thing, haven't they? And what
Exactly.
products do they have, etc.
Yeah, and then you try. So that capability we really want to bring to the industry. So yeah, we are in the course of bringing to the industry.
Well, you are absolutely, and I can see it from the data we're getting, etc., that we're looking at. It's phenomenal. One of the things that stands out to me anyway, and I've only been working with you guys for a while, is how fast you do stuff. So we go to you and we go, hi, we've got this idea and we'd like to do this. And about 2 days later, you appear back on our screens with Vinette and others, and you're like, look what we did, here you go. But we've also done this as well because we thought this might be better. And we're like, how is this happening? You know, when you think about the speed at which things happen in wealth management, and it's, you know, an antiquated industry. Now, the cynic in me is like, well, it's AI building AI, isn't it, right? Is it? I mean, there's an element of that, right?
Yeah, you have to bear in mind where our team has come from as well. Like our team is like technologically stacked, and they've all come from some form of, like, they've been doing AI for a long time.
Okay.
So they know how to, like, if you take Tig, he's just been doing it. He's a pro. He knows how these things work. So we've built enterprise grade AI systems and sold them to some of the largest companies in the world before moving into this space.
Okay.
And so we took a lot of the learnings.
What's an enterprise grade AI?
Enterprise grade AI stack. So rather than kind of wrapping a large language model and going out and distributing it and yeah, we've kind of gone from day one. There are 3 core capabilities. You need the extract, reason, and act. The extraction of data and the whole data layer and the action layer, that orchestration layer, have been primary kind of citizens alongside the reasoning layer I just chatted you through since we started. And then on top of that, you layer in what makes this hard in an era where you can vibe code almost anything is the regulatory compliance, the governance, all the data fidelity, like the stuff that we've done with your team on like hierarchies of data, and these are the things that make it enterprise grade.
Okay.
And then there are other aspects like, how do you deploy it? Do you deploy it? And we've discussed this as well. Do you deploy it on our cloud, or do you deploy it on your own cloud? So do you deploy it in a traditional SaaS model where all of the data is leaving your environment and coming to ours? Or do you deploy it on your own cloud and keep the data sanctity in your walled garden?
Yeah.
Those kind of things are the kind of enterprise grade aspects of all of this.
So I interrupted you. So your team is tech stacked.
So they are used to building enterprise grade AI systems, and so we have built an agentic one of those, layer on layer on layer. But we have built in a very, very deliberate way from the get-go. So we really started the firm as soon as it was possible to build an agent native company. And we have built our own code repositories to be very, very consumable, very, very readable by large language models. And then all of our team are using all of the tools at their disposal, now at the industry's disposal. So we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of capital focused on staying at the forefront of what is possible. And so, yeah, the productivity you get as some, like many of the team were already kind of 10x engineers, and now they have these tools behind them. The productivity is huge, and because it's a tight team, we're very, very selective in the team. It means the entropy is low as well. So like there's a lot of communication, but it means that we can move very fast as a result.
No, I mean, you absolutely do. Like we've seen it. Now you've mentioned agentic AI, you've mentioned native AI. Explain the terms, I would say, and then why is agentic AI different from the AI tools that people are using currently?
Yeah, agents are all about harnessing those large language capabilities for doing the work rather than for just asking questions of. So we've got generative AI, and then we've got agentic AI.
Yeah.
From an agent perspective, what you really need is like a reasoning loop, and then the ability to call skills, the ability to call tools.
Okay.
And now, because we exist in such a governed, regulated industry, the orchestration layer is incredibly important at making sure that what comes out of that is right. So what we do is we take the life cycle and we disaggregate it into its component parts, its component tasks, and then we have effectively a set of well-governed agentic spaces for well-governed spaces for these agents to run in. So they get enough autonomy without having too much autonomy and losing the context, because that's when you couldn't ask Claude to whatever, one of the Opus models. You couldn't ask like the latest GPT model to conduct an annual client review process. I mean, it would have a stab at it, but it would lose context. It wouldn't have like you. It has to be extremely well formed, and then the agents exist within their set guardrails.
And the agents that you build all work together, but they all have certain parameters, don't they? They all have tools and skills that
they can call on, and then you have agents that sit on top of other agents. You build systems of these things, and then they can choose what skills and tools they want to use. Yeah, exactly. And so it's all about making that come together and making sure that the handshakes, so each of them is like a little input machine output, and then the output of one goes into the input of the next. And so it's just making sure that those handshakes are well defined, and then you go from there. Then you can give more autonomy.
And in the context of, people talk about having native AI, that is agentic AI completely, is it?
Well, what do you mean by native? Native is like
the whole ecosystem sits within.
So this is a great question. So there's the technology aspect to all of this, which we've sort of covered to some extent, where you need the right extract capability, the right reason capability, the right act capability. But then there's the whole operations side to it all. And this is where we think that Foster Denovo is doing a wonderful, like really, really impactful job. So there's the process architecture aspect of it all. Then there's the organizational design and the incentive aspect of it all. And really you have to get all of these operations focused aspects. The change management is the fourth key pillar there. You have to get them right as well as the technology in order to truly become agent native.
Yeah.
So this is where you're looking at your process architecture and you're working out, okay, where could we improve the process? Where could we you've got these new superpowers and you've got these new almost like super vulnerabilities that kind of come with these, the yang to the yin of the superpowers. And now the operating system that you had previously needs to evolve to harness them, and it needs to evolve to avoid them. And so becoming agent native is about exactly that. It's about going from a human-led determinist, like where software is deterministic and everything else is human, to how do we make the most of these probabilistic beasts that are superhuman in their capabilities, but are not infallible, will make mistakes. So that is becoming agent native. It's really the operating side and the technology side coming together.
And it seems like wealth management firms are sort of playing in two different spaces, aren't they? They're either going agent-led, etc., which is what we're driving towards, or they're just using AI tools, aren't they?
Yeah,
so people say, I've got a note taker and I've got a bit of this and a bit of that. And it's two very different things, isn't it, when you talk to people about that?
Hugely different things. So if we unpick it, so we see it in 3 levels. But before I get there, if you're using a note taker, you're really just using a reasoning capability. You don't really need how much
data
extraction.
Gateway into AI.
It's a gateway. It's a gateway into AI. It's a very good one, and it's ripped through the industry because it's like really high ROI, really easy to roll out, solves a really good pain point. But it's not. There's no natural path from that to an agentic operating system for a wealth manager. It's very hard to go from that to that. So yeah, we really see it in three levels. The first level is exactly what you're saying, which is chatbots and point solutions that. And this isn't new for generative AI or agentic AI. This has been like time immemorial. We saw it in the classical machine learning age as much as anything else. You effectively create new data, or if you don't think about it really hard, you create new data silos. So like, what are you doing with your data? How are you ensuring that data is then plumbed back into?
Yeah.
So that extraction, that data layer is critical. And chatbots and point solutions are not necessarily solving that. And it's the same with the orchestration capability. So like having a discrete point solution almost by definition is not doing the orchestration more broadly. So then in order to get to level 2, which is effectively life cycles, AI life cycles, AI embedded across given life cycles, that is a big step up. So that's where you need your data layer, you need your reasoning layer, you need your orchestration layer. But in addition to that, you need all of the operating stuff that we were just talking about. You need to think about how can we best architect our processes for this agentic age. You need to work out what impact that has on the culture of the firm, how to bring people along for the ride. And that stuff is the really gnarly, really hard stuff.
Yeah.
So if you get that, you get to level 2. And I'd say that the best firms, or not the best, but the firms that are really at the cutting edge of AI at the moment, and I'd put you guys in there, are at or reaching level 2. And then level 3 is effectively a paradigm inversion after you've reached level 2, whereby rather than the human driving the process and bringing AI agents in at the right time, the AI itself is now driving the process and bringing humans in for review at the right time.
Well, I know. And I remember sitting in a meeting with you guys and we were looking at client portal, client reporting and that sort of stuff. And this is a classic example of Palindrome coming in and going, well, we've done what you asked, but look at this. And you showed us the paradigm model that you've just spoken about. And I think the whole room just sort of went, what? And then you sort of explained it and we were like, oh my goodness. Well, we weren't expecting that. Like it's a real brain twist that you have to sort of get your head round.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, nobody's there. Well, we're not there yet. Obviously, we're still on phase 2, which is, we're very happy with. And I suppose it leads into, you've chosen wealth management for this, which I think is phenomenal and we're delighted about it. What makes some firms better equipped to do this?
I think it's all about that operating. Those 4 operating pillars are the key. And those 4 operating pillars are incredibly difficult to get right. So you can have all of the enthusiasm in the world, but if you don't have a good handle on, take that process architecture, like your process flows, leading into your templates, within your templates, your conditional logic, et cetera, if you don't have a great view on that, it becomes very, very much harder, much slower.
I can imagine. And you mentioned it there, and I think this worries people, doesn't it? Like AI worries people, doesn't it? A lot.
To some extent,
yes. And I think, people worry about, if we become agentic-led or agent-led, where is the human oversight? People talk about human in the loop. It's one of those buzzwords at the moment, isn't it? Or words. Where does the accountability sit then?
That accountability has to sit with the people, and I don't see that changing for a good period of time. That's the whole purpose of disaggregating the life cycles into their tasks, and then having really strong governance around that is for this reason. It's to ensure that there is a human accountable, and we believe that each one of these steps at the moment needs a human reviewing.
Well, that's what you showed us when we looked at it, and it's absolutely. So looking at it from an advisor and a client point of view, what do you think AI will change about the advisor's role?
Yeah, it should give the advisor, or we're already seeing it give the advisor much more time. So that classic McKinsey stat, 2/3 to 3/4 of time is spent on non-client facing administration. That's coming all the way down. And for some firms, it already is all the way down. And then it's a question of how do they want to use that? How do they want to employ that time better? Do they want to serve their existing customer base? Do they want to broaden their customer base? Do they want to launch new propositions that have, that can go into the financial advice gap and all of that kind of stuff? It really is a great time to be a front office team member in these firms, because you're doing more of the job that you love and less of the admin around it. That's
the hope, isn't it? And from a client perspective, if a firm uses AI properly, what advantage should they get?
So they should be able to, firstly, the time to them receiving the advice should come down. So we'd seen like very long lead times to get back to customers come all the way down. But then beyond that, they should be getting a more and more personal service. So one interesting thing that we've seen in some of the firms that we've worked with or are working with is lots and lots of heterogeneity, lots of like in the processes that are being run, even like the same process. So take the annual client review process, lots and lots of different ways that it's being run. But the reason for that heterogeneity is the front office team member themselves has a way that they want to do things, or there's idiosyncrasies. Maybe it's the result of acquisitions, maybe it's, so it could be lots of different reasons, but there are lots and lots of different ways of doing the annual client review process that are because of the firm. Now we're now seeing that condensed down into far more kind of systematic approach, but the really interesting thing is that we're then seeing it diverge again. So it's converged to a kind of golden flow or whatever, golden process, but then we're beginning to see it diverge, but diverging for the reasons of the end client. So now you change that process slightly, it diverts from your classic like archetypical annual client review process. And it does that because of a good reason, because the end client needs a slightly different method of service. So what we're excited to see is more and more of that divergence, but divergence for the right reasons, effectively.
So
that's the hyper personalization, right?
Well, I'm interested to ask this because why is that more personalized for the client? Because what I would say, just playing devil's advocate, is that my advisor would say, well, every client gets a bespoke service from me. That's my advice. That's the way I work with them. That's how I deal with them, etc. So why is AI, which is rule-based and governed by the tools and stuff we put into it, why would it give a more personalized service?
But how true is it that everyone is? Does it depend from advisor to advisor? Does it depend on are they truly getting?
I would say it's advisor by advisor. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. Like if you have, you're dependent on that click between the advisor and the end customer, and it may be there for and that's great if it is, but I wouldn't say it's there across the industry. That was one of the core reasons that we came into the industry initially, because if you can raise the probability of that click, raise the probability of them having the experience that is really proactive and really tailored to the nuance of them, and raise the ability to serve more and more people in that manner. If you're at the top, if you're a UHNW or the top end of HNW, you're going to get a personalized experience at the moment. It's going to be, I completely agree. But what about the mass aff proposition? What about the bottom half of HNW? But what about even below that? Like, how can you give more and more of that personal experience, that personal, like really nuanced understanding of Helena?
So I agree with you, especially from the lower end of the market, absolutely, which is a market we know is not being served, right, and needs to be served. There's a massive need for that, right, exactly. And we're not doing it at the moment. And I think AI has got an absolute space there. Yep. I still question the more personalised service for, let's say, I don't know what you'd call high net worth anymore, 500K or something like that, right? I question how AI gives a more personalised service when you're still using the same advisor. I can understand it's giving you...
But what if that advisor had perfect recall now? Like, what if at the end of every meeting, they don't lose anything?
So you're saying from a data perspective, you're taking
even
more
if I'm
of it,
the best advisor in the world, if I've got 100 clients and I have to remember that all of those clients' families and like the data loss, I am incredibly forgetful. Like the speed at which I lose like soft facts, for example, is so high. I walk out of a meeting. If I record a meeting note, or if it's recorded, happy days. If I record it on a dictaphone within 10 minutes, happy days. If I don't, then like my ability to recall is radically lower, and then the ability to connect the dots becomes radically lower.
So you're saying that the personalization comes from the amount of data that we can hold and the connections that you can make to it.
All of those soft facts that weren't previously being used at all, that like may have made it to a meeting note if you were lucky, and then you stick the meeting note on a system of record and forget it and never see it again.
Yeah.
And then maybe you'd have the time to go and get it and trawl through it before the next meeting. But what if all of that was radically different, and you had this 2020 vision that was instantly captured, and then and then you're comparing that on an ongoing basis to what's going on in the market and working out relevance. And even if you're the best advisor in the world, you're not going to be able to do that for 100 clients like at that depth with that recall. And that is the superpower of AI. It's the ability to process that kind of stuff.
So how do you think the relationship will change between client and advisor?
It should become deeper and deeper, more and more trusted. And that's the whole reason that we set Palindrome up to serve wealth managers is because fundamentally at the epicenter of all of this, the client is buying trust, and the trust is such a human thing. And we want to enhance that. We don't think that's going anywhere. We don't like all of the chat about disintermediation and stuff like that. We don't really buy it. We firmly believe that we can like radically improve the client's experience, but the best way of doing that is through a more trusted relationship, more thoughtful, more nuanced.
And what about when people say, and of course it's happening, isn't it? Clients are using AI tools, right? Before they get to us, whilst they get to us, and after they've been to us, right? So what do we do about that? Because clients are coming to you and they say, oh, I've used this AI and this is what it's told me or whatever. How is that changing the relationship then? When we then say, oh, we use all of this AI kit as well, does that give them more trust in us, less? Like, are they worried? They're like, well, I can do that myself. I've asked ChatGPT, and they don't understand the difference in what we're doing and they're doing.
Yeah, I think that this is a really dangerous thing unless it's thought through really deeply.
Yeah.
It should raise the bar of the provision of advice. So it should, like the evidence needed, it's almost like you don't have to evidence it to the regulator, and all of these people are interested in the outcome as well, but you're going to be more actively challenged in what you, and have to justify your actions more to the client themselves, because suddenly they believe that they're better informed. So that's definitely something, and so AI will actually help there by giving a kind of an arsenal of support, and it should be far superior to whatever the kind of outcome they're getting with all of the context that's lacking if someone just queries ChatGPT. The other interesting angle there is like we've explored a bunch of this, so we've kind of turned some of our models to kind of CII and CISI kind of questions, those kind of things, and tried to work out how good some of these models are at answering those questions in ways that would pass those exams, and they're pretty good. They're pretty good at it.
That's terrifying, isn't it?
But that's knowledge, right? That's knowledge, and that knowledge exists, and there's data there that can be like that could be used to understand that knowledge if you wanted to. But it's all of the judgment around the knowledge that is the key, and that's what you're not going to get from a ChatGPT with like client asking random question. It's all of that compounded understanding that the advisor has built up over like decades in the industry, or years and years in the industry. That ability to spot that nuance, that niche, that specific thing about the client, and understand that is the impact. That is the additional thing that they need to consider. And that can be augmented by AI, and it can be helped. But right now, the training data doesn't exist for that judgment.
No, absolutely. And what do you think? Because it does feel like AI, I said it at the beginning, is that AI has popped up overnight, right? Well, in our space, and how it's moving so quickly forward, right? Yeah. Where do we think it's going to be in the next year or 2 years? Yeah,
those models will continue to get better and better and better. There's no doubt about that. They're on a curve, which is great. However, that they're already trained on unbelievable amounts of data. So really, I think that we've seen a step change because a set of superpowers and vulnerabilities, as we said earlier, have sprung up as a result. But you're not suddenly gonna I see it's going to take years for those capabilities, for effectively all of these operating models to change, to be like perfectly in sync with what these capabilities can do now. So the models will get better, but that doesn't mean that you still need to sort the data layer. The data layer is imperative. You still need to sort the orchestration layer. The orchestration layer is imperative. And the way that you do those two things is super, super nuanced and at times super, super difficult. So those two layers don't improve because the reasoning layer has improved. And the same on the operations side, like it can help with the process architecture, but like it's going to take a while to get there. It'd be cool when that happens, like these meta agents, and we're working on some of that. But like the incentive stuff, the people stuff, that it doesn't get radically easier. I guess people hopefully will get more and more used to change, and that will help. So that maybe through time,
there's still a resistance. Isn't there?
Exactly. And different firms have different cultures there, and that kind of thing. More or less openness to change, but these are the fundamental blockers. So the like, and if we go back to what the generative AI capability is unlocking, it's the next token, the next word.
Yeah,
it's not some like I don't know, it's difficult to we can debate philosophically what like intelligence is, but like it's not like it's going to suddenly become sentient and like
this is what people think, isn't it? Exactly. At some point, like they just
what's the path to get there? These models will become better and better and better at predicting their next word. Doesn't mean they understand the sentence they've created. So I don't know, like there's lots of pitfalls there and lots of debate going on there, and I'm definitely not best placed to answer that, but yeah, like we think there's been this generational step change. It's unlocking a whole load of unbelievable capability that is going to have wonderful impact if channeled correctly on our industry, and the models will keep improving, but the opportunity is now to kind of reshape to become agent native.
So do you think there's a ceiling then? So if we get to, we said phase 1, 2 and 3, so 2 is agent led and then it's the switch of that. Do you think that's the ceiling?
I mean, I think that there's this super arc. There's kind of it's like the short-term debt cycle and the long-term debt cycle. There is like this super arc that's going on as well.
Yeah.
And who knows if like some lab that Jan LeCun is running is going to come up with the next iteration. So like the whatever, like we've had that we stepped through them earlier, but like the next one of them, and that could be something completely different. But like in the local optima that we're in at the moment, like there's a long way to go, but like it's not I mean, there must be good analogies for this, like cars or something like that. Yeah, like that we used horses, we used stagecoaches, and then there were cars, and cars needed all of the infrastructure around them, the operations, and then like that was put in place. But it's only when we get like flying cars or driverless cars, like it's taken 100 years or whatever to get like. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more. It's not stopping, but I don't think this iteration is going to give us driverless car equivalent of wealth management or flying car equivalent of wealth management.
No. Fair enough. And I think you said something earlier, and I don't exactly know what it means, so I'm going to ask you, what is a meta agent?
Oh, yeah. So it was like agents.
This feels like another, like it's gone even further.
Well, it's like you have all of the agents that are executing their loops within a given task.
Yeah.
But then you have agents looking at the processes themselves.
So this is the overarching agent that's kind of running the whole gig.
Well, yeah, as a manner of in a manner of speaking, exactly. You do have like supervisor agents elsewhere, but yeah, like it's basically like how can I improve my processes? Yeah.
Okay, goodness. Right, okay. I mean, that's a whole world of information. That, and if you were talking to, so firms are watching this, people are watching this, and they think, right, I need an AI strategy, which, as I said, a chap called Gary that we spoke with, he said, you don't need an AI strategy, you need a growth strategy that has AI in it, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with
that's the key. Where should somebody start?
Yeah, my assertion would be have a plan to get to that level 2.
Okay, so get to agent led.
Don't just think about ROI. ROI is too like you need to think about building a compounding machine that is going to take you to to AI life cycles and the seamless handing of data between the steps in those and the seamless orchestration of those between agents and humans and your existing systems. That's really
that feels like quite a big thing for somebody, maybe a small firm, to look at.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but just make sure that you can take. It doesn't preclude all of the sugar highs of the point solutions. Just making sure that when you're getting them as part of a broader strategic vision that at least you've thought through, like.
And that's the thing, isn't it? People are trying to, like, they'll put a note taker in, or they'll put a little thing. We've got AI. We've tapped it on.
Yeah, we've got AI. We've done AI. We've got a note taker. Yeah, happy days. We've got a chatbot now.
Yeah.
We've got Copilot. We're done.
Well, exactly. But really, it needs the strategy beforehand, and all of that is the
What's
planning.
our growth strategy?
Yeah.
If we had this capacity in a given team, what would we use it for? Are we going to use it like growth? Like, what is the growth strategy? Is a great question. There, it's like, what? Like, are we going to go out and serve more? Are we going to overserve? Like, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that needs to be done alongside, or like how AI is threaded into this.
No, absolutely. Because I know when we've spoken that we're looking at, some of the efficiencies and what can AI help us with. And it's, can it look at, a client's details, et cetera, and tell us where we're missing the opportunities, where it hasn't got something, and that sort of stuff. And that's,
data gaps, all of that kind of stuff.
And that's personalized for the client, isn't it then?
Totally.
That's where you're getting the actual benefit to the client.
Exactly right. And it goes back to the point I was just making about the ROI. So ROI is not enough. Like that, like data gaps, understanding data gaps, like reducing risk in your firm. It's more like you guys love Sharpe ratios, right? Like it's like you have to see it as a Sharpe ratio. Like, where's my excess to return? Where's my excess return? How can I reduce my risk? How can I get a bit more return? How can I, stop my drawdown?
No, absolutely. I think it's worth just mentioning, isn't it, or talking about, we've spoken just earlier before you came on, that you're partnering with a couple of people now, which is quite important. So you've joined a partnership with the FCA. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Well, that's more of a collaboration.
Collaboration. I don't know what the difference is. Right, okay.
The FCA is running a really cool program called AI Live Testing. There are 8 of us in the cohort.
8 firms.
8 firms in the cohort.
You're the only startup. Who are the others? Big ones.
There are some really big firms doing some really cool stuff in there.
Okay.
I think like the Barclays and the Lloyds and UBSs of the world, those kind of firms.
Okay.
Experian. But yeah, we're working with the team at the FCA to really think through some of the stuff that we've just been talking about and how to best achieve that, the agents that we're building, how to make sure that the systems of evaluation that underpin them, like we were saying earlier, like the hard bit is like the governance and the infrastructure and the guardrails around these things, how to make sure that we're putting those in the right way. And the wonderful thing is that they also have brought a third party in that like comes in and tests what we're like, assesses our approach. And it's just a great way of having a meaningful dialogue about AI in our space with the creators of the deterministic system that we operate in. And so,
well, I mean, out of all of the firms, there's 8, and you've been chosen, which is awesome,
which is
amazing.
So we feel like we have a voice as a startup, and the FCA is really like really championing this meaningful two-way dialogue, which is great.
That's brilliant. And you've got another,
and then
partnership, collaboration. I don't know what to call it, right?
We're partnering. We're part with Microsoft. That's a meaningful relationship. And they ran an accelerator, I guess you'd call it. It's called the Agentic Launchpad, where they selected 13 agent native software firms, that was a great experience. NVIDIA was part of that as well. We've really kind of teamed up on the product side. We kind of have regular conversations about the product direction of travel. So because Microsoft is such a critical part of the infrastructure of our industry.
Yeah.
what is the better together story effectively, and then how can we collaborate on the engineering side, etc., etc. And yeah, that relationship's really gone from strength to strength, and so people buy us through the marketplace, the Microsoft marketplace now. Like, yeah, there's loads of different benefits to doing that. So
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's phenomenal. When did you set up Palindrome?
A little over a couple of years ago. So,
I mean, to
yeah,
get where you are now is phenomenal, and I could just strength to strength now, isn't it, Ed?
It's exciting times, that's for sure.
It's very exciting, but you're not allowed to work with anyone but us. Okay, that's I could just put that as a caveat. Listen, Ed, that has been fascinating. I will again go and have to Google some of your expressions. But apart from that, thank you so much for joining us.
Not at all, Helena. Thank you. Yeah, it's lovely to see you.
You too.